This is how boss biohackers use Mucuna Pruriens. I'm going to give you 4 strategies of how the highest level people in biohacking use this pretty epic compound. Because guess what? Not only can you replenish dopamine after taking a dopamine release agent, which is going to lower dopamine levels a little bit, and therefore not have any side effects and get great results, you can also use it as an every other day supplement, just a sort of a consistent rise in dopamine and noradrenaline levels. At the same time, you could use it to increase libido because it has effects on luteinizing hormone and testosterone. Perhaps one of the best ways to use it is to stack it with energy compounds like teocrine, dynamine, theobromine, and we're going to break down all this. Holiday specials all the way through the new year, 20% off the new courses that supercharge dopamine and nootropics mastery. Torque nootropics stack, heavy hitting all day mental energy. That is 25% off. The code for that is 25 torque. Cortex stack, 5-6 hours of energy. I mean, if you want to be buzzing and extremely productive, get Cortex 25% off. Also, code for that is 25 Cortex. Codes are in the description of this video. Go get some product, boys. So Mucuna Pruriens, the controversial dopamine agent that a lot of people use and a lot of people have been using, including myself, safely for many years to get good brain performance, among other benefits. Let's talk about how an elite level biohacker, someone that really pays attention at a meticulous level to the compounds that they're ingesting, they have an objective for why they're ingesting said compounds, and they dose things in specific doses and certain frequencies, like to reach particular goals. So Mucuna Pruriens is going to yield a very little bit of naturally occurring levodopa or L-dopa. And by taking it, you have an enzyme that's called aromatic L-amino acid decarboxylase, which converts that levodopa or L-dopa into usable dopamine. It actually happens in striatal dopaminergic terminals. So the compound is like radically effective and, pretty awesome for a biohacker to have in his arsenal, just because it's just going to turn into dopamine.
I want that. Yeah, I want that.
Now, there's been some, I would say, clout-chasing YouTubers that have tried to highlight dangers of Mucuna Pruriens. And if you want to have like a full debunking of the dangers of Mucuna Pruriens, please watch this video on the screen. You can search for that title on our channel. Mucuna Pruriens is safe. I've taken it on and off for many years. So do my clients. The stuff is honestly magical if the dose is right. But let's talk about how high-level biohackers use Mucuna Pruriens, so you can get a better understanding of how to use it, not get side effects, and only get benefits. All right, number 1, using it after you take modafinil. Now, this is a pretty epic biohack that I learned many years ago, but that I've been employing with people more and more as people come to me and say, hey, I'm taking modafinil, but then, days later I lose my motivation, or the next day I kind of feel a little subpar. I slept fine, everything seems fine, but I'm just not feeling great after I take modafinil. Look, modafinil blocks the dopamine transporter. So what that means is you're going to have way more dopamine around than usual, which is good for that acute period. I mean, that's part of why modafinil feels good. However, like that dopamine that you're keeping around and releasing, it comes from somewhere, right? Origination points. And there is such a thing as dopamine homeostasis. And when it gets out of whack by forcing too much dopamine release, which is what you would also do by taking Adderall, which is why people have side effects, among other reasons, taking Adderall, is, you're essentially somewhat, I would call it mildly depleting dopamine stores for a temporary period.
I don't want that. No, I don't want that.
However, if you take 400 to 800 milligrams of Mucuna Pruriens either later on in the day after dosing modafinil when it's kind of coming down, or the very next day you take 400 to 800 milligrams of Mucuna Pruriens, then you are less likely to run into any degree of motivation loss or dopamine loss in that acute period, which makes for a lot smoother experience if you're running modafinil. A lot of people will take modafinil and have like some sort of side effect, again, coming off of it or the next day or in the ensuing days, and attribute that to modafinil, but the real mechanism is a mild depletion of dopamine, which you can fix by taking Mucuna Pruriens. This is how high-level biohackers use this compound. Secondly, using Mucuna Pruriens as an every other day supplement, just kind of a staple supplement to keep dopamine around, and a little bit more of the other catecholamines for alertness. I mean, it does have somewhat of a short half-life, but the increase in dopamine levels are going to last. So if you want to take it consistently, you do not need to be taking it every day. You certainly can and get away with it and function awesomely and have enough dopamine. And some people respond really great to that. But a low dose every other day strategy of dosing Mucuna Purines is actually very, very clutch for just maintaining dopamine levels, maintaining energy. I mean, you're going to feel energized on top of your usual baseline by every other day dosing of Mucuna Purines. Okay. So number two, if you want to just keep it simple and have a good strategy, just dose, your 400 to 800 milligram dose every other day. The reason I say that is because some people are sensitive to an everyday dose, an everyday higher dose, or even an everyday medium dose of Mucuna Purines, and they start to get overstimulated via the conversion or the carryover to the other catecholamine neurotransmitters like adrenaline and noradrenaline. Number three, using it to increase libido via increasing testosterone. This is a paper titled Mucuna Purines Improves Male Fertility by Its Action on the Hypothalamus Pituitary Gonadal Axis, in which they basically explain that treatment with Mucuna Purines significantly improved T, so this is testosterone, LH, no, that's building block. I mean, that's the predominant gonadotropin that signals to your testicles to make testosterone, dopamine, adrenaline, and noradrenaline levels in infertile men, and reduced levels of FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, and prolactin. They go, sperm count and motility were significantly recovered in infertile men after treatment. So this is a group of infertile guys that had low testosterone, low dopamine, low noradrenaline, low luteinizing hormone output. Gave them Mucuna Purines, and that resolved every one of those problems and even lowered their prolactin. Okay, so the dose really doesn't need to be high for you to get a benefit on luteinizing hormone, lowering prolactin, increasing dopamine, increasing the other catecholamines, and therefore increasing testosterone and getting a marked improvement in your libido. 400 to 800 milligrams either every day or every other day should suffice. One very rudimentary approach to people that have been on kratom for a long time, and it raised their serum prolactin levels via blocking dopamine receptors, which inhibits the gonadotropin release down to the testicles, which equals less testosterone, is Mucuna Purines, because you both increase the gonadotropins, LH specifically, to make you make more testosterone, but at the same time, via dopamine, making more dopamine and having that bind right to the dopamine D2 receptors in the pituitary gland, you prevent prolactin release. You actually end up lowering prolactin in cases where you've got hyperprolactinemia, and raising testosterone just from taking Mucuna Purines. Powerful, powerful stuff, guys. Okay, last intelligent strategy that high-level biohackers use Mucuna Purines with would be to stack it with other energy compounds. I mean, that is the basis for what we've done with the Torque stack. Mucuna Purines, Alcar, Teocrine, Citicoline, Theobromine. I mean, this is why this stack is so powerful, but you could replicate that by just stacking Mucuna Purines with Teocrine. I mean, you could just take those two together. 400 or 500 milligrams Mucuna, 100 to 150 milligrams Teocrine. Again, the same applies with the other energy compounds like acetyl L-carnitine. You run 400 to 800 milligrams Mucuna, 400 to 800 milligrams acetyl L-carnitine. Be prepared to feel great. Now, theobromine is a little bit of a different compound. You don't need to dose it all that high, but the same principle applies. 400 to 800 milligrams Mucuna Purines, and really 30 to 80 milligrams theobromine. You're going to have a good time. Brain's going to be very functional. And then lastly, dynamine. Dynamine is this fast-acting receptor modulator of the adenosinergic system, the system that either keeps you tired or awake, and it onsets very quickly. Dose range is 100 to 200 milligrams. If you ran 400 to 800 milligrams Mucuna Purines and 100 to 200 milligrams of dynamine, again, you'd have exceptional brain performance. Not just the energy. See, this is what's important about stacking it with energy compounds, not just the energy component, via kind of modifying the receptors that caffeine works on, but you also have the dopamine increase, right? The testosterone increase, the noradrenaline increases. So you've got this multifaceted kind of synergy between these compounds. And this is really how the highest level biohackers take this stuff. All right, guys, as I said in the beginning, holiday specials on nootropic products. Cortex stack right now. I mean, high level focus, clean stimulant flow, mental energy, verbal fluency, mental processing speed. It turns on very quickly. Code for this, it's 25% off. The code for this is 25 Cortex. Codes and links are in the description of the video. Torque stack. All day energy, bros. I mean, that's all I got to say. I mean, look at the compounds, a breakdown of what we just talked about. If you want everything I just talked about in one supplement, just get Torque. 25% off. Code for that is 25 Torque. Codes are in the description, and so are the links. If you're going to pick of the two, I mean, if you need to optimize dopamine, just get supercharged dopamine. I mean, this is the holy grail of dopamine hacking. Every single dopamine hacking strategy I've ever learned and come across and used in real life is in this video course. It's 20% off. The code for that is 20 now. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays for whatever you celebrate. I hope you guys had a safe, like, awesome day. And I hope, you know, the next couple of days, as a lot of guys are off of work and whatever, like, you enjoy the downtime and the time with family. I'm doing content up until, like, I think the 29th, where I've got to travel to go see some family. So I'll be gone for 3 days or whatever. And then I'll be back to content. And look, January's coming, baby. Time to make resolutions, you know, go forward in life, fucking get stronger and kill it. Talk to you later.